We are here with Colin Geddes, the programmer for Midnight Madness at TIFF 2008. So Colin, how does one go from being a Midnight Madness fan to actually becoming the programmer?
Well, when people ask me how long I've been with the film festival, as a programmer, 10 years. But I'd like to say I've been with the film festival for 20 years because my first week in Toronto, I was born in Toronto but grew up in Northern Ontario. When I came back to Toronto for college, I stood in line for the very first year of the Midnight Madness program. I think I saw Hellraiser 2, maybe around 3 other films in Midnight Madness, but more importantly almost, in that lineup, small town kid coming to Toronto, I can talk to other people in the lineup, other horror film fans who can talk about the nuance of, say, Italian cannibal films. I met 3 guys in that lineup who to this day are my best friends. Every year I would come back and see more films in Midnight Madness, and then more films out in the rest of the areas of the film festival. And I really credit the film festival with my education for world cinema. I started doing a fanzine in the early 90s on Hong Kong cinema called Asian Eye. And the fanzine seemed to get me attention and got me a press pass. And Noah Cowan, who was the founder of Midnight Madness, he started coming to me, knew that I would be coming out to all the films, and started asking me for advice and opinion on some of the films. And in 1997, I was asked to be a co-programmer. So I just kept on coming back and loving the films, talking them up, seeing people, meeting people, and then I was asked to be a programmer.
Now, you have a unique challenge compared to other genre festivals in the country. You only have 10 films to choose per festival. What kind of criteria? How do you overcome that challenge?
Well, throughout the year I'm watching films and I'm looking for films, and I've got a love for so many different types of films within genre filmmaking: horror films, thrillers, action films, black comedies, and I see a lot of really good stuff. But when I'm picking for Midnight Madness, it has to break new ground, it has to be fresh, it has to be original. Preferably, the other thing is just the criteria of how the film is structured. It's got to keep the audience awake and on the edge of their seats. This is an audience that might have seen 3 or 4 films during the day, and Midnight Madness is their last stop, so that film has to shake them up, has to wake them up. So I'm looking for stuff that is energetic, not necessarily fast-paced, but has a good rhythm. But it goes back to, it's got to be something fresh. Maybe a director has a new take on an old idea. Maybe there's a new visual style in the film, but it's got to be fresh. And it's really hard. There's so many films I see which I have to turn down around 4 or 8 really good films just to narrow it down to that 10. And some of my friends, we've started calling the selection the 10. I wish I had more slots, but that would mean we'd have to extend the film festival by more nights. Festivals like Fantasia, Sitges, Austin Fantastic, they're really great because they can pick up to around 80 plus films sometimes, and so they can take something which might be a little slower, a little moodier, wouldn't work at midnight, but it would work in another time slot. So when I see something, spidey senses tingle, and I look forward to taking the film and bringing it to Toronto to share with the Midnight Madness audience.
Well, thank you very much, Colin. Tonight is the premiere of Not Quite Hollywood.
Not Quite Hollywood, Mark Hartley's rockumentary, as he calls it, about the history of exploitation and B films in Australia. And they call it Ozploitation. O-Z, Ozploitation.
All right, thank you very much for your time, Colin.
Thanks, Eric.